Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Afternoon, colleagues. Let me just start off by apologizing that we are going to start a little bit 2 minutes late into it. We apologize for that. We were just a little bit disturbed by the connectivity issues. So I think by way of introduction, my name is Moketsi Benedict Tegere. So I am the curator of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. I also look after One Africa, which is our pre-seed accelerator that works with early stage startups that are really still early, as the name says it. And the goal really is to help these startups get up to a point where they can have some fundraising in place. So as part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week, we are happy to announce that we have partnered with Amazon Web Services, and other than meeting Mr. Henry Zitzman, who's based in Cape Town, who's was sincere enough to say, hey, look, I've been looking for some people who are doing digital tech in Botswana. And it was so exciting that he agreed in a short period of time to come in and do some partnership with some of our startups, right? And also the good news is immediately after my call with him, he said, hey, look, make an application. Let's see if One Africa can be an Amazon partner. So I'm happy to announce that our partnership has been officially approved, that we are their first partner in Botswana to be onboarded onto their platform, and we'll have some giveaways to our startups after this. So let me just mention that this session is being recorded on the Global Entrepreneurship Week Botswana page, Facebook page. And we have invited 1 to 8 startups that have been curated, and this session is being sponsored by Stanbic Bank. They've asked a simple thing like, say, hey, look, can you make some of our startups investor ready? So I hope that Henry will assist me in that process as he looks into what we can do further beyond just this presentation. So Henry and Sam, let me welcome you to the stage and say you are welcome to Botswana, and let's see what we can do to make this session in 1 hour, 30 minutes as useful as possible to the ecosystem. So thank you, colleagues.
Cool. That's fantastic. Nice intro. I really appreciate to be here. It is great just to be in a group in Botswana. That's step number 1, right? So yeah, I wonder if I should be sharing a screen, or is it possible?
Yeah, so I've just made you co-host, so you should be able to run through. So I think for now, because we can do some quick intros if you wish. You can run it the way you want while I'm trying to track the other founders to come in.
No problem. So I'm not going to take the show. Yeah. So let me, maybe I should just wait a few minutes. It does take a few time for rooms to fill up, How do you feel about that? All right. So I'm Henry Zitzman. I look after startup programs. I'm based in Cape Town. And I'll take you today through how startups can work with the AWS startup programs. I'm sharing a screen here. It's a presentation called Welcome to Day One, which will become apparent when I go through that in a bit more details. Anybody else there? Do you want me to start, or should we wait a bit?
I think let's give it 2 minutes and then we can start.
I think so. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So I want to just hang it out there. Anybody wants to just have a chat? That's cool.
Oh yeah, Sam, maybe you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys. No, thank you so much as well, for this. Hi, I am Sami, and I'm actually all the way in Ghana, moved between Ghana and Germany most of the time. Nice. And I met Henry, and probably also a similar story like you as well. And I mean, to be honest, I have basically, I'm a founder of a tech startup called Startup Lounge Africa. And we've built an online platform called Kutana Africa. In Swahili means to meet, which is Kutana. And what we are doing basically is we've built a platform that allows every business across the continent to basically search and also be visible to other businesses across the continent. So we are really looking at partnership acquisition with this platform, because really, truly, for me and you, most of the time, it's really difficult for anyone outside Africa to navigate the ecosystem, to get in touch with really verified businesses. It's a whole journey. So what we want to do is make sure that everything is on one platform that makes it easier for anyone at all can jump on the platform to look for businesses, find them, connect with them, and also do partnerships with them. So yeah, this is me, and I'm really excited to hear about what you're doing, and yeah, looking forward to hear more, especially from AWS and also in general, yeah, to hear about everything. Yeah, thank you.
Great stuff. Yeah, Sam, so you're doing a tour across the whole of Africa. That's a lot of countries, right? How many days do you need for that?
God, so it's 54 days. Yeah, no, it's 54 days across
Wow.
54 countries, and then we just finished with East Africa.
Yeah.
And so we've done 16 days in West Africa and 17 days in East Africa now. So we've done probably majority of it now. So we are left with about a few more days to go to finish up the whole of Africa, and it's crazy. I am going to sleep after this.
Yeah, but it's really amazing to see the entrepreneur character and focus that every country has. And for me, that is the part that is going to change the future of a whole continent. And that's why I'm so passionate about startups, the journey. And I appreciate that you also reached out just via LinkedIn and said, hey, what can we do? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, Henry, you're right. Definitely. Because even for us, just looking through everything that has been happening in the ecosystem and listening to people talking about the ecosystems, reading into the ecosystems, you see the wow, like there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to do, and hopefully there's much time. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm still going to wait just a little bit that we can see if more people want to join. So which country is next on your agenda, just to maybe get that excitement up?
Yeah, so we'll basically now are going to be moving straight to I need to confirm this, but I think we'll be moving now to Central Africa, so we'll touch a little bit of Central Africa countries now. But for now we are gearing up for an investor panel pitch. So all the startups that presented their businesses, we have some investor panel members. So we have some people from Founders Factory Africa. We have we have a few other investment firms also on the panel. So basically they have the opportunity to pitch their businesses, and hopefully they get something out of it.
Yeah, that is super good. Founders Factory Africa is really interesting.
They are.
Good stuff.
Great.
Well, I can tell you it's nice and warm down in Cape Town, that's for sure.
Harry, what did you say?
I say it's nice and warm down in Cape Town. There's no rain. That's really good.
Wow. Yeah. Ghana is also really hot. I think it's around 30 degrees. It's quite good. I like it.
Me too. Super cool.
Yeah. I'm dreading going back to Germany in December because it's too cold, and I hear it's rainy as well, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, we're very lucky with our climate. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, but when you have it for that long, you take it for granted. You start to complain about the sun.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead if that's fine, Henry.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine, and I'd love redoing sessions. It is really part of what I do. But first I'm going to start with welcome to day one. So during this talk, I will share the many reasons why startups build on AWS and how to successfully partner as a startup or a venture firm or as an accelerator with AWS. We've been helping startups build for over 15 years, and we've been the preferred cloud for startups since the beginning. Startups such as Airbnb, startups like Epic Games with Fortnite, startups who've done IPOs like Netflix, even helping the dating scene with Tinder. In Africa, I can mention Flutterwave, Paystack, Nigeria, Jumia, Nigeria, Ahela Credit, a bank in Nigeria, Data Profit, machine learning for manufacturing from Cape Town, Aerobotics, treetop analysis for the insurance and the financial industries. Ozo, which used to be called iPay, rapidly scaling as well. Interesting startups that help in the delivery of goods like OneCart, startups that do insurance like Pineapple, and we'll go a little bit more into Pineapple. Startups that have become the #6 world global crypto exchanges like Luno, just to name a few. These startups started with AWS with their first line of code and the first of hopefully many delighted customers. So whether you're a startup still in ideation phase or deployment or reaching for scale, Amazon Web Services have programs very much tailored for you. So my name is Henry Zitzman, and I come from over 20 years of working in information technology. Before I left the enterprise world in 2015 to build my own agri-fintech startup, I ran commercial technical development delivery operations in ICT, where I managed many programs for telecoms, prepaid, VAS, regionally from Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, and the rest of Africa. I share my background because I am just one of the many members of this startup team here at Amazon with both extensive startup experience, interested in sharing knowledge and expertise with you. So I've created as well a Slido. You can see it on the screen there, where you can do Q&A, and we can then later on go into this Q&A. You can also snap a pic for that. So that's me, Henry, and then that's my colleague, Ashish. He's based in Dubai, but he looks after North Africa. There's a reason why for the last 15 years startups overwhelmingly prefer Amazon Web Services. Go and ask the most successful startups in your market, and the majority of them are using AWS. These startups selected Amazon Web Services for a collection of reasons. First, we understand startups. We know what the challenges are. We started as a startup back in 1996 and continue to operate like one today. We have a dedicated startup business development team comprised of exited startup founders, former investors, angels, and startup executives. The team works closely with the top VC firms, accelerators, incubators around Africa and the world. These are startup experts who understand developing business plans, approaches to user acquisition, marketing at the very early stages, what a good pitch deck looks like, and we do know how to build fast. Second, we have developed a number of programs here at Amazon to help you engage with not just the millions of customers on AWS, but also the millions of shoppers on Amazon.com. Programs to help you tap into marketplaces, partner networks, credits, business support, and more, which I'll tell you a about more shortly. Third, startups choose AWS because we have the broadest technical capabilities. The tech we provide gives startups an advantage in a market where they believe their ideas and speed of execution will give them an advantage over competitors. Today, with having access to over 175 services, no idea is too big for an early stage team to tackle. So whether you're processing billions of events a day, ingesting data from satellite, maybe using AWS ground station, or deploying millions of IoT devices into the farming industry with AWS IoT, these services all let you go from idea to market in record time. Let's talk about the technology. The way startups compete today is on quickest time to market, keeping your costs low and continuing to innovate on behalf of your customers. Because of the pay-as-you-grow pricing on AWS, startups do not have to estimate how much computing resources or provisioning and pay upfront for computing infrastructure. Instead, with AWS, startups can pay only for the resources that you consume, much like you would for a utility such as electricity. AWS on-demand infrastructure allows startups to spin up computing resources in a matter of minutes with just a few clicks of a mouse instead of weeks or even months that it would have taken to get the hardware and get it deployed. This increases the agility of startups, and speed is critical in business. Thanks to the cost efficiencies or benefits of the cloud, startups are able to experiment often and fail fast with lower risk. Startups disrupt and innovate by essentially testing a series of hypotheses. Their hypotheses are not always right, and their ideas may fail. But the advantage they have with cloud computing is that they can experiment at small scale and in multiple iterations without risking upfront investments that you usually used to make in servers or owning ongoing payments if you decided to do deprovisioning servers. The ultimate benefit in this is that the experimenting often will also increase the likelihood of finding the right direction to success. All this ultimately means is that a startup can focus on your core business value. Startups should be great at and focus on the services and product that you provide to customers, not at provisioning, operating, maintaining hardwares and servers. So by allowing AWS to oversee these tasks and provide IT infrastructure services, startups can invest more of their limited resources into actually growing their businesses. That's how you build, or how we deployed, the broadest and deepest cloud platform available today. These are all the services on one slide, not actually all of them. Whether you're looking to create and run virtual reality, augmented reality, and 3D applications quickly and easily, we have a tool. We have a service called Sumerian. Or perhaps you want to ingest, buffer, and process and streaming data in real time, so you can derive insights in seconds or minutes with Kinesis. These services all provide the building blocks to build in any imaginable industry. Of course, machine learning and artificial intelligence are big topics, as data continues to play a more important role in how companies compete. So we have a wide range of offerings, from core raw services for those very advanced data scientists to entire machine learning environments like SageMaker that makes it easy to build, train, and deploy your own machine learning model. If you don't have any machine learning experience, you can tap into many of our AI services that will help your product to ESP, comprehend, infer, make predictions with simple API calls. This is the global infrastructure that we currently have. It's more than 25 regions, 80 availability zones, 203 plus point of presences. We have announced plans for 5 more regions going global: Indonesia, Japan, Spain, Switzerland, Australia. Anyway, but it's quite an impressive deployment, which essentially means that you can offer single-digit millisecond latencies to your customers wherever they are. These new services over the past 15 years have had a massive impact on how businesses operate today. You know, in 2005, if you had an idea and you wanted to build your first platform, and I call it the minimum viable product, it would have cost you $500,000 just to get that MVP on the ground. So when the storage on the cloud launched, and it was actually invented in Cape Town, and compute resources became available in the cloud, so relational databases, CloudFront, then the costs started coming down to $50,000 by 2010. We estimate now it's $5,000 to get a product on the ground because of the scale that you have. So this means that there's more bootstrap. So startups who hasn't yet got funding, but they've probably gone to an incubator, available now in the market than ever before. These are companies that have millions of customers. Let's give you an example. So Appel is a startup, very interesting, single man founder. It's like the kayak of ground transportation, meaning you can get, you know, different prices from scooters and transport available anywhere. So Appel is used by millions of users to compare prices, right? Appel was founded by this one person, that still operates with one employee. The founder built this at the AWS Loft in this case, New York City, which is one of the many locations and free co-working spaces available. AWS has a virtual co-work space available that you can also sign up for free to get access to experts. Why do I say that? So in the beginning, when you want to start your first service, you will probably go for a very simplified architecture. It's a 3-tier architecture. That means you've got a database for your customers, you've got a web server for the front, and the application server that does the stuff, and you put that all into one platform. That's, you know, that's fine for an MVP, but the problem with that is you can't really scale it very fast, right? So the startup went back to consume basically free training, join the sessions that's, for example, arranged by an accelerator or an incubator, and they've progressed over the time into modernized to a serverless architecture. Serverless means that the startup pay for only the code that they spin up, as opposed to the whole server. Closer example to South Africa in this case is Pineapple. Pineapple, 3 guys, I guess 2 dogs as well. But they decided that you should be able to buy insurance using a snap of a pick. They've created that startup. They've got more than 35,000 customers. I met them very early when they're still in ideation phase. They were also presenting on the startup day. We run this event, Startup Days, it's very free. It was basically in Johannesburg. They've gotten recently a good amount of funding as well from a venture firm, and they continue to scale. They even joined us on the Clubhouse series that I run across Africa. So AWS has changed the VCs, how the VCs invest in startups. It's a great article from Harvard Business School. So what does it mean if you are not asking for $500,000 from a venture capital firm? Well, firstly, the VC can invest in more startups from their fund with smaller amounts. But secondly, also the VC is going to do a much smaller, what we call technical due diligence with a startup. So you can ask any startup VC about AWS. The VCs have all been working with AWS for the past 15 years. So you're welcome to become part of that community. And that's why I say the most successful startups build on AWS. And, you know, these are some examples. Airbnb is up there. You can go down to Open Door, Giphy, Convoy is actually quite interesting. They do transportation and tracking services using machine learning in the USA. And what they do is they literally route the trucks in an efficient manner that the trucks don't return empty. And that's, you know, just one of the problems. There's quite a few startups like that in Africa as well, doing really cool stuff, but really focusing on, you know, cross-border and the more logistical aspects. But I can go through this list, and I'll leave the slides also for everyone afterwards. But the awesome cases in Africa is what I love to share about. You can talk, and we publish that for the startups so they get additional exposure. What you can see there is Paystack. I met Paystack on a very early stage in Lagos, when they were just getting going. They got recently essentially merged with Stripe, so they're doing super well. I think it was a $200 million round. That was like 3 or 3 years, right? So it's pretty impressive stuff. Flutterwave, also from Lagos, they do payment, huge amount of infrastructure, a lot of merchants. They're basically a unicorn from that point of view. Ayela Credit is another one from Nigeria. They basically do use recognition, basically they can recognize the image and that will help them board customers safely into the banking platform that they've got, Ayela Credit. And when they use the service, they increase the accuracy that they used to have by up to 80%. So these are some of the examples. The ones that really stand out for me is the really early stage startups. On the bottom left, you see AgriPredict, very early stage. They're using machine learning to essentially help the small, medium-sized agricultural farmer get the right seeds at the right time, etc., etc. Very, very a nice one to watch also going forward. But I can go on, you can talk about Africam, who's saving rhinos across Africa using AWS recognition services. Very interesting as well, and so on. So the other thing is AWS has the largest community of builders. So we've got more than 1,000 meetups. Reddit's 166,000 users. And you can see the Stack Overflows, the pages online, GitHub repositories. Why do I mention that? Because when you wake up in the morning and you've got a problem that you want to solve, there's a good likelihood you're going to find that solution already is deployed within the community. So definitely keep track of user groups, maybe even start your own user group, and so on. Let's talk about these programs to help. So the programs are available through Accelerators. So that's where startups go to hopefully get accelerated to a funding round to help get access to markets very much faster. This is some there that I worked with, like Y Combinator, 500 startups, Techstars. In Africa, you got C-Star, Startup Bootcamp, etc., etc. And that is where the founders will get access to Activate, which is the next program I want to talk about, the startup program. Okay. So you can start by using what we call a free tier account. So you can go online and create your own AWS free tier account. You're going to get an account ID. That's step one, obviously. And then the step two that's really cool is once you're part of an acceleration program, you can sign up and you can deploy your perks. This is up to $100,000 for venture capital startups for a year, or for early stage accelerated startups up to $25,000 for 2 years. It depends on essentially what you're building and what stage you're in going forward. But we also do something really important, which is called the technical due diligence. So when a startup wants to start engaging with a B2B and enterprise, or when they want to start looking for funding, there's always going to be a talk around the technical due diligence. And we've really simplified that. We've got a tool online for you, which is called the AWS Well-Architected Framework. This framework essentially has 5 pillars of efficiency. So the first one is, of course, security, very important. That's security, that's stuff such as GDPR, penetration testing, etc. The second pillar is resilience. In other words, how do you back up your environment? And this is, of course, you have a service in AWS to help you with that. And the other one is therefore scale. And how would you scale out if you had more customers? So that's basically that pillar. Another pillar is operational efficiency, DevOps. You pretty much get into that space as soon as you have a developer in the team, and you basically need to start bringing out new releases very fast. So let's talk about your code in, code out, code deploy pipelines. But all of that is balanced to the 5th pillar, and that's the cost of running services on the cloud. So you've got to obviously increase more security, your cost might go up. So you want to have that really good balance. And there's a tool online that you can do. What I also do is we work with AWS Advanced Partners. We will do that with a startup. And from that, you can get a 62-page technical due diligence that will help you answer questions from enterprises wanting to work with you. A program that is designed to help a startup meet that enterprise is called Enterprise Connect. Enterprise Connect is where I will go to CIOs and my colleagues all around the world, go to top enterprises, and we'll identify what do they want to do with a startup. And from that, we do a soft referral to the enterprise, which is basically saying it's a double opt-in process. So the startup wants to be nominated, and of course the enterprise wants to review that startup. And the idea behind that is not to sell for the startup, because that's a very important motion in the early stages, but it's a context of helping you find that right enterprise. You know, when I was a startup, it was really difficult for me to meet the top CIOs because I was a startup. I was very early stage, right? So this program is available via the accelerators and the venture capital firms for founders. So often startups build into business-to-business offerings. So essentially, if you wanted to start selling your platform, your independent software vendor platform, or your SaaS, software as a service platform that you've created, and you want to go global, it becomes challenging because you've got to look after treasury, you got the legalities and all that kind of stuff that comes in. But we've got a startup marketplace. Essentially, it is a curated list of products that enterprises can buy from startups without having to do all the trading and the currencies and the contracts. You set up prices there. So it's called the Startup Marketplace. There's more than 230,000 customers using that. Why that's important is because when I was a startup, it was really difficult to get to the right enterprise. And what you want to do is you essentially want to package your product for sale. So think about it for the longer term from a B2B point of view. Of course, if you have something that you are building and you want to sell it on a global scale, you can't fill up all the global warehouses to deliver that in time. You have a very special place for startups to do that. It's called Launchpad. You can sign up for Launchpad, and essentially what that does, it gives you the ability as a startup to produce just as much as you can, and also reduce that number of orders in the beginning, but get a global reach, meaning you can do a delivery for up to a month towards the buyer. Plus you get marketing accesses and so on from that. One thing I really want to just share is that we are running all our free events in the Startup Loft, and it's free. You can go and sign up, and there's a very cool part feature of that besides the events that you run there, how to hire, how to build, so on. There's also Ask an Expert, because I'm part of a bigger team. Sometimes it's very important if you want to go into IoT or in agriculture that you maybe speak with an expert, and you can book an expert directly 24/7 there. So I'll leave that resource for you as well. So, we have a fund. That's pretty cool. It's called the Alexa Fund. This is for startups that want to or are active in voice enablement technology. In other words, using Alexa skills to build services and so on. So definitely you can go and apply for that. And a good example would be a startup like Ring that eventually got acquired. They went through this program to get into the funding. There's another fund. It's called the Climate Change Fund. That is, if you are doing anything in climate change, then you can apply there. That's a very big one. It's a $2 billion fund. Again, it's online. You can just kind of apply for that if you are so inclined. So that's why I'm saying the most successful startups build on AWS. And it's super cool to show you on this slide. I've actually added in quite a few the startups that have done PR with for free. Bottom right, I love Zuna. Top left, robotics. Ayala Credit is over there. Now I see Luno, Kudigo. There's Pineapple, Rapid Trade, Cindy. They basically is in Kenya. What they do is they help anybody to move small loads around in a more efficient way, using the access to, let's say, buckies and trucks that's around standing and doing nothing. But anyway, so you are definitely welcome to nominate yourself to get into this on this page. Love just sharing this around all the time. So why startups choose AWS? We understand startups. We have the broadest set of services, and we've got the programs to help you grow. So also definitely take the opportunity to join the AWS training, because as a startup, when I failed, I got my certification during the build period. So it definitely helps. There's a very big demand for cloud skills everywhere. truly. And these training sessions are absolutely free. We're also running a certification program. I'll send that out a bit later. So thank you. That was my introduction today to Amazon Web Services startup programs. These are some of the resources that I'll share as well afterwards. Definitely connect with me on those if you're interested, and so on. So thank you again. For the Q&A, most welcome to open that Slido link, or we can even do Q&A right now. Thank you so much. Any questions? Always good.
Hi, I have a question. That's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, go for it. Hey, nice to meet you. Cool.
Hi, my name is Richmond, and I'm a founder of a game development company in Botswana.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so you really struck me when you said you hosted Fortnite.
Yeah, that's right.
Because what I'm currently developing is along those lines, but it's
Nice.
African based. So I was wondering, how can you help me?
Yeah, definitely. I'm so happy you asked that question. One of my colleagues, he's now looking after the whole of Europe, Middle East, and Africa game tech. So they are available. If you want to have a speak with them, I'll do an introduction there. And definitely what you can also get basically is, once you got the Activate and using that, the credits, right, they're going to run out. Do get in contact with the right expert at the Ask an Experts, and you'll find gaming experts there available for you. All right. I can also have a look and see if there's additional points. But probably what the best would be is we do have a discussion directly. It's a very complicated and awesome
I'd really
field.
like that.
Yeah. Otherwise,
really
we'll bore everybody else here with why it's so funky. I love it. Yeah, awesome. But it's really nice to meet you. That's super cool. 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 So what I'll do? I'll share the slides, and then you can also go and do Q&A online in your own time. And everybody that's got that link within this community will be able to upvote the questions that you have, and then I can prioritize the answers. But I also think what would be great is, that we do another session at some time, maybe going a little bit in the context of building an MVP. What is an MVP? Why are you building an MVP? It should not take that long. We have very smart templates for you. It's called Cloud Formation templates. It will help you deploy much quicker, whether you're doing blockchain and these items. Now, we've also, inside of the Activate console, there's a builder console, meaning there's templates for startups to help a startup during that early stage in building. Okay, so definitely try and leverage the startup programs as much as you can. Cool.
Someone in the chat asked who is.
I can't see it, chat.
They asked who qualifies for the Alexa fund.
Yeah, you can definitely apply. Anybody can apply for the fund. The fund is split between what we call the global world, that's basically us, and then USA, right? So you can definitely apply online. I'll send a link afterwards. I wonder, Adeline, are you building something with Alexa, or what are you doing? That sounds cool. Voice enablement is super important, right? If you think about, there's more than 2,000 languages running across Africa, and the dialects is something that's really important to cater for. Natural language processing is really something that there's a lot of cloud formation tools for helping you doing the natural language processing for sure as well. Not sure, just sharing. Cool.
My question, hi.
Yeah, hi.
My name is Batidi Selebogo. I'm experts in AWS or experts in startups and how to build your startup and all of that.
Sorry, but Chiti, your line broke up there. Could you maybe repeat that? Sorry, or you can maybe type it out, then I can just get it. Couldn't
Oh, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it goes on and off, but it's, please, let's try again. Oh, maybe I should use my video. Yeah.
My question was regarding the Ask an Expert. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I was saying, are these experts in AWS or experts in like running a startup, how to build your startup?
So I'm part of the team that knows how to run a startup, how to build a startup. There's a science behind that. I've got a couple of videos that I've done about how to build an MVP and how to ask the right question to validate your market very early before you start building, actually. So within that Ask an Expert, you will find two types of experts. You'll find your business expert, which is your startup entrepreneur, ex-founder like me, in an industry. I think that's very important as well, because the industries, they really are everywhere, right? And then also there is technical experts. So we call it startup solution architects that can help you for free in terms of how you want to maybe deploy something in the right way. So it's business and industry focused.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks so much.
So there's sessions like, how to hire, how to build an organization, how to get your first MVP interesting for investors, how to find angels. I love that one. It's always cool for me. And then also how to engage with a VC, when to engage with a VC. Startups tend to want to, I was one of those, want to go speak to the top VC overnight, and I haven't validated my run rate and my traction. I don't have the numbers ready. My pitch deck isn't ready. My elevator pitch isn't ready. I'm not explaining the problem very well, and that's better rather avoid that. And that's why it's great that you're part of this community as well. That will definitely help.
All right, thanks so much.
No problem.
Yeah. So Henry, I was just gonna ask. I mean, in the simplest sense, I see the strategy is build, then you market, then you sell. So would say, for example, the minimum number of customers one would need to have before like onboarding be 100 at a minimum, just so that they can get traction? And is there any possibility? Yeah. And secondly, is there any possibility that we can just use one of the startups as a prototype for the group or the cohort to understand like the value of or AWS?
Yeah. So I think what I'm going to recommend we do is I'm going to get Felisa Boya. She's our developer advocate, and she does a presentation around basically what is an MVP and how to build, what's the tools available to build an MVP, right? That would be a very good, I think, next step as an outcome. But asking that the question about how many customers before you start going from an MVP into a product and start looking for traction and so on, it actually has to go back to that thing called elusive product market fit, and everybody's heard about that. And what that really does mean is that there is an interest to acquire the service that you're offering. And what I find a lot is that startups, they get very excited and they convince some dev to get going, and they never go and meet the customer, the actual customer. They don't ask what I call the moms and pops questions, which is open-ended questions. There's a lovely book. It's called The Lean Startup. Definitely go and read that. It's a couple of very good podcasts as well. I can share that. And the point behind that is not that you at your first sale is really making money. You're trying to validate would they buy that service from you. And then an MVP is not something that's done. Your first one is ugly. It is supposed to be ugly. It is supposed to validate that there is going to be a buyer, that, if you're an agri-tech, that farmer takes it really, he's interested. Even if it doesn't work, there's a couple of tricks we do. We put a website up and we say, would you buy that? And if you can't get somebody to click and buy that, even though it's free, or even though it doesn't work, it's under construction, that's another trick you do. Then you should ask yourself the question, did I ask enough questions from the actual customer? So work backwards from the customer. There's a fantastic mechanism that we use over here at AWS and in Amazon as well, and it's called the Prfiq process. So the Prfiq process is you're predicting, you're saying, I'm making a news release. I haven't built anything yet. I'm making a news release. I am solving XYZ customer problem in which way? And it's one page. It's just one page. It makes you crystal clear in terms of what you're actually solving. So you publish you create your first news release, and then you start working on the called FAQs, questions such as would customers use it, why would they use it, etc. And you start filling the FAQ part out. That's a very nice tool and mechanism that should be adopted for sure. And there's a raise hand here from Zinu. Where's Zinu?
Yeah, there's a hand up. Oh yeah, by the way, I picked Lorraine. So Lorraine works with talent. While I'm waiting for Udira to, so Lorraine works with Botswana Accountancy College, and she's trying to transition into like angel investor, right? So I'm trying to get like most of her students to just jump on this. Maybe she has something to comment on.
Nice, that's super cool.
Hello. Hi there.
Hi there.
I'm just listening, soaking everything in. I don't really have a comment right now.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you, Lorraine. If you have questions, you know how to find me.
Yes, that's right.
There we go. It's nice to meet you. I'm really interested to hear about how universities are operating in terms of helping the entrepreneurship journey. I'll give you an example. I work with University of Stellenbosch's Launch Lab, where it's incubation, right? Where the students literally go through a program to try and get incubated. I work with the Gordon School of Business, which is a UCT business school. Yeah, they've got an awesome program. It's virtual. It's an e-track program. Essentially, it's a longer program. So your incubators typically run over a longer period, but there's a lot of incubators. The thing is just, sometimes you have to be very fast and rather focus on getting the customer to really like what you have. And then if you can't, convince an angel at some point that there's a value in your market, that's a problem, right? You haven't got enough sales to actually explain what the value is, but it boils down to the pitch, and it boils down to the numbers, because obviously angels want to make money, right? That's super important. And that's why I think it's super cool, and I do it all the time. I tell startups, definitely join us at like Africa Arena that's happening this week. Just come and listen to that startup pitching to an angel. It is super cool because you can just pick up that clear messages. And that's also the value that I see when a startup, even in the early stages, join an acceleration program. Is that, in the beginning when they do the first pitch and they go to the next show day, it's totally different. Like, wow, that is such amazing just to see that. I've got so many examples like that. Give you an example, Lula Loop. When they started, what they're doing is they're using the tourism industry tracks to move people around. So they thought they're going to be like an Uber, and so they joined Startup Bootcamp. And afterwards, at the end of that program, they decided, no, you know what, the right way to really bring that message across is that, no, we are saving carbon for the corporates. And now they're focusing heavily on the B2B side. And the messaging was just amazing. Same with Kuda Bank, which is now worth $500 million. When they did the first pitch, I saw the founder, and he literally looked the bankers in the eye and he said, I'm here to actually disrupt your business, and I'm here just for the customer. And I was like, wow, that is such a cool pitch. And he's gone on to create a $500 million banking business within, I would say, 3 years. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Actually, I'd be really interested in doing some benchmarking with some of the institutions that you mentioned for incubation.
Yeah, exactly. So I will definitely, so one thing that I do a lot is just connect people. That is rule number one. So you can definitely lean on me if you want to be connected to anyone, especially around incubation. MLab is interesting. Launch Lab is interesting. UCT, the GSP program, as example, is interesting. But there's a lot. And then, like, for example, in Lagos, there's a co-creation hub. There's a couple of very good ones in Ghana, actually. Mist. I don't know if you guys know that, Meltwater. So they do that program for a while, and you can learn a lot from how they help the founders over the time. It's no reason why we should reinvent the wheel for stuff that works.
Yes, that's right.
Cool.
So Lorraine, we're gonna pick you on that. You and I have a coffee session just so we can just have a three-way. Yeah. So West Africa is quite interesting. I actually got like one of my startups to apply, and I was amazed that they run their program from pre-seed all the way to like launch virtually without even interaction, and all their modules are full on, and it's quite impactful.
Yeah, exactly. So when I went to Ghana and I did my first startup day, the first thing that I did is I took the startups like Cow Tribe, etc., that was still in the early stages. Another one is Accelerators. Accelerators is helping essentially a church is being paid by the constituents. Now, for that context, they went through an incubation program, and during that time, what I saw is how very smart they started getting their messaging right, and also they started looking at very clever ways. How do you scale out? Because you got these big church events, and now you want to get the money into the church, right? So they started to move into what we call serverless, and that reduced their bill by almost 80%. Just that small change makes a huge difference.
Yeah, let me try to pick one of the colleagues. I don't know if there's somebody that wants to say something there. Oh, Dira, you had your hand up. That's classmate, right? There you
Yes,
go.
sir.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
Hey, there we go.
Oh, okay. It's Zino Odira from Classmate development team here.
Nice.
Classmate is an online e-learning platform. It's an ecosystem of learning platforms for teachers, students, to help in collaborative learning.
Thank you for being there. Without EdTech startups, we are not going to be able to tackle the digital divide. And I'm going to be definitely telling you, please go and sign up for the free virtual accelerator EdStart that AWS is running. You'll get surrounded by a lot of EdTech experts in that program.
Because right now on our platforms, we have students from primary school, that is standard 1 up to standard 7.
Yeah.
We have Form 1s to Form 3s, Form 4s to Form 5s so far.
Yeah.
And that is about 30,000 plus users in our platforms.
Yeah.
And my question was to ask, okay, fine, because right now our platform is running in a BTC data center right now, locally in Botswana. And the question was, okay, fine, how seamless would AWS be able to help if the push comes that we move our resources into your data centers? And
yeah. So the thing is, firstly, I don't want you to slow down to what you're doing. I don't want you to slow down on what you're doing. What you're doing is already amazing. So the question is, in the team, do you have technical skills to do the work? If you don't, I have AWS partners that I will fund to help you get value out of AWS, right? There's a lot of, the main thing really is, are you going to scale this out? Are you going to go beyond borders? That's the cool stuff that you want to kind of think of, right? And when you start doing that, then you have to build a platform that is able to do that. So definitely, have you joined the Ingenie incubator, or you past that stage, I guess, right? Which is the EdTech incubator that's always open for applications.
Right now, we're just operating from Botswana Innovation Hub.
Nice.
And running with a few team of developers.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. So why don't we just have a connect? We see if there's value for you with the AWS. Yeah, so give you an example. So I'm not sure how your processes have been built and deployed and so on, but what you really want to start doing is getting insights to the behaviors from the students, the attendance, the attention, the focus, the outcomes. That is data. And what you can do is you can definitely build an analytics model that will help you understand that. So what you could do is essentially you can put data in S3 storage, very flat structure. Why I'm saying flat structure is because, when you go into a database, it starts costing a lot of money, but all you really want is insights to what am I doing that is getting an outcome. So then you can use a mass query. It's called Athena, and Athena will do the query for you, and you can get insights to the data. And then you can connect that into AWS QuickSight, and you can start building dashboards based on basically what you want to do. You connect all that together. And as soon as you start seeing the insights, you want to start diving in, you definitely have data, then you can start looking at your machine learning models to build that. And of course, there's a whole journey around that. I'm not going to make it sound so super easy and all that kind of stuff right now, but it's definitely worthwhile. Let's have a chat.
Okay, I think we'll try and connect sometimes, because I think we have another session tomorrow, Mr. T.
Yeah, so I think with connecting you to AWS, we're gonna have a deep dive for next week with those that actually have interest. So so I think we'll from this there will be step 2. So I think for the cohort group that we have, that's definitely a yes. So then everybody will just get like a customized needs assessment, baseline assessment, and you get onboarded basically. So yeah, so there is a next step after this. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just want to mention that you are in good hands. You know, have you heard of startups like Get Smarter that got an M&A, or Go One that's quite big? There's so many edtech startups using AWS. It's really cool. I'd love to share the stories that they do and how they do it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So no, definitely, I think it would be a great opportunity if we can just break down a couple of sessions afterwards and see if we can spend quality time.
Yeah, so Henry, I've got one of my startups here that's doing like digital nomad freelance type of work. So basically they're just trying to like get the 40% of our young guys that are jobless to like jump in and get work all around the world. I mean, what dividend do you see? Yeah, what dividend do you see? Because I would like them to be used as a case study for this project, because I think what they are doing may have bigger impact, and just hey, AWS is the platform to go for. So I don't know if the founder is here. Let me just check. Yeah, Aravan, yeah, let me just allow you to just jump in and just give Henry perspective so that he may know how to help you.
I don't hear anything. Cool.
My computer froze.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think there's a connection issue on that side. Yeah.
But let me touch base on that, because number one, there's certification vouchers for our entrepreneurs early stages for getting skilled and getting certified. That's there. It doesn't exist anywhere else. I can share that link. It could be very good to use. Number two, we have 2 very dedicated programs for educate. So essentially, you can get a curriculum from AWS in building up that skills journey that you want to get to. There's a new program that we also launched. It's called Restart. Restart is basically when an entrepreneur decides that he wants to go onto this cloud journey and start becoming part of this digital nomad world, right? You got to go through the skills and the training. It's a 12-week program that we work only with collaborating partners. At the end of that, what we help with is the actual job placement as well. There's very big startups in this field also doing, like Andela is doing this quite big. In fact, I think they're a unicorn as of September this year. And what they do is essentially deal flow that. But I think it's very important that we rather sit down and start looking more into the practicalities and the details. I've got a digital training person that's much more experienced than me on training and the journey that people have to go through to essentially become certified. For me, the best part really is that certification part. Once you've done that, wow, I went to a startup up in Johannesburg after they've been invested. I can't mention the name. And the COO, the HR said, I need 400 cloud certified people. And I was like, wow, that's quite amazing. So there's a lot of good opportunities. I think we need to figure out how to basically help you and then also get the message out in the right way.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, let me check. So yeah, so is there any specific sectors that you think are like the quick wins? I mean, for those that have come in? Yeah.
I actually, you know, because I do this for a living, right? So I kind of analyze the markets, countries. It's very dependent, you know, on that. But you know, obviously, what stands out a lot is fintech type invested startups, insurtech. Startups are moving. You'll notice I'm getting into this discussion that there's a lot of success in the B2B approach, business to business engagement model. Startups, and you can see that with the funding rounds as well. I mean, Africa is now sitting at over $2.4 billion invested in startups. And since 2019, there's more than 5 billion, over 800 rounds. And, you know, 40% of that is in fintech. So that should immediately say there's something interesting. But a segment that really picks up is transport, logistics, and agriculture is becoming super important as well. Obviously, you know, agriculture is something that we can teach a lot of people around the world on how to do this agriculture as well, right? So that's it. And you know, with the technology around now with IoT devices, you can get really great sensors out there into farmers that they couldn't afford that before, and you can build a back-end platform as well. So anything in that kind of space is definitely almost easy, because you can go and focus at one big farming commercial farmer, or you can go and focus at one bank that you want to break into as a first deal and then go from there. But you know, I definitely want startups to solve all the problems. To give you an idea, I'm also helping out with Unleash. They're solving 17 sustainability goals problems. We got 200 founders running right now through a 50-country program. It's going to be a pitch day. Maybe you're all invited. Come and have a listen. That'll be cool. It's going to happen around, I think, the 11th of December.
Right, awesome. We're gonna share the dates with these guys so they can jump in. Yeah. So the other one that I was gonna ask on is, so what's the actual win outside the tech and infrastructure? I mean, in terms of how do you see AWS being leveraged to validate fundraising? I mean, we know this type of money that funds these guys is smart capital. So how have you leveraged basically like AWS validated startups, you know, to access like VC or angel money, just from your experience in the Cape Town ecosystem?
Yeah, look, so the good thing is I don't just work in Cape Town, I work in Lagos, I work every country, right? Cape Town is just one hub and so on. So the first thing that I normally, well, I'm just going to put it this way, something that's really important is get your technical due diligence right and make sure that your numbers are accurate in terms of your run rate, your traction. Definitely, if you're still in, you got to really think about as well, have you really got the customer to adopt your offering? Because if you haven't, then going into a venture capital engagement is going to be very time consuming. It's probably better that you start looking into an accelerator engagement who will help you then get into the right thing. So stuff that I do a lot is I do a lot of referrals to the VCs, but it depends on the stage. And something that I definitely always expect from a startup to do is do that technical due diligence. Make sure that you've got the stuff like Gdpr, your compliances, HIPAA. If you're in healthcare, HIPAA compliances. Get all that stuff in place before you start engaging with later stage VCs. You'll see definitely quite an interesting, there's a big shift into what we call the pre-seed, that's before revenue startups being invested across Africa right now. It's going really fast. And what I mean by that is, to give you an idea, so Launch Africa Ventures, they literally created the fund, it was about 2 years ago. They've done more than 48 investments in essentially pre-seed seed stage, which is amazing, right? That is essentially after you've got a market fit, you've got a few customers already, and you've verified that you can have a business outcome. So you've gone through pitch decks and that kind of stuff, and so on. But I had a nice panel actually with Kit van Zyl, who runs Knife Capital down here in Cape Town, in front of startups at the startup day. And definitely some fireside chats like that would be really good within the community, is to talk about when to go to a VC. It's very time consuming. When to go to an angel, where to get help, how to get mentorship. Actually, all the mentors want to really help you. That's kind of amazing. And the angels as well. If you want access to angels, I mean, you can join Due Dash. It's essentially free. It's online. They've got 55,000 angels running behind that program, and you can definitely go into that. And that, you know, that gives you a totally new view on high net worth individuals that will invest in you. So there's a lot of new mechanisms in play that wasn't there before, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I think I'll show the screen to these guys for Judash, because I found their platform to actually be quite like
Easy.
Yeah, easier.
Yeah.
Like it just it takes away the whole BS around, hey, look, we're gonna like do valuation for you. It's expensive to all that all that stuff.
Exactly. So I met that founder when they just got going and they were thinking about building the platform. And obviously they were using Activate with AWS to build out the platform. And essentially through that, they've gone on to the next stage, which is to really scale this out. But then that said, right, there's quite a few, call it startup network groups where you can get access to funding. For example, Enigma Ventures is very closely connected with startup circles. And behind that, and while I'm mentioning Enigma, that's the female founder type of co-founder investor, which has never been there before, which is great news as well. You're going to double up with the number of founders globally, right? So definitely join anything that's not too time consuming. I just want to make sure that's clear. The first problem that you have to solve is your customer's problem. Money isn't going to solve your problem. You have to go and validate that you have a product. Go to the market. Your first sale, if you're not technical, is going to be to a technical person. That's your first sale. You have to sell. Step one, get someone to help you build. Step two, make sure that the market is validated before you start building. Once you validate it, build something, even though it doesn't look very nice. That's not the point. You're trying to prove that you are going to get traction if you start scaling it out. And that's where the discussion comes about. What is the value? What is the market potential? And then people can actually start talking to you. Speed.
Yeah, it's all like no new science, right? We had a strategy session with one guy. He said, the biggest mistake that a lot of startups do is they actually like go and build something and then launch it. Like they forget the most important thing, right? Being the customer, right? And then they go figure out this thing doesn't work.
No, it is so sad. And I feel very bad that, I haven't had time to actually go around all the ecosystems to just make sure that everybody knows they should go and read a book called Startup. I'll see the name of it later. The Lean Startup. It is such an old book. You're going to laugh. It's an old book, but it's got all the science and the tricks in how to build a startup. It also has great references into what questions to ask. I could even send the YouTube that I made where I go through the book in a bit more details. The questioning the customer, everything you do is actually that customer. Right. And, if you can make that customer a business customer, then you can actually talk to them as one person. And you don't have to have the product perfectly right. That's not the point. You're trying to validate that they were going to buy this thing if it's there. And of course, once you've got your MVP, that's your MVP, you're validating the numbers. You can now start making up spreadsheets to talk about your market potential. And so on. For that, use tools that's out there. Like Dash helps you with the tools, Join an accelerator. You will always get great advice how to get a business case going. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just to also bring another perspective to this. I'm just curious though. A lot of I think a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly tech startups, like they never really think about like, hey, where's their data gonna sit? And I think that's why you guys like created Amazon for startups, because of that gap that actually exists, right? So tell me, in terms of, because we are running this partnership with a corporate accelerator, right? Which is meant to help founders who wanna basically they wanna scale or they wanna validate. And I see the sense that they don't see that this is all about cloud. This is like internet infrastructure driven, right? But most people haven't gotten it because most people are not technical who run these things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your message in terms of just, hey, replication, copy and paste for those in the ecosystem in Botswana, either working with innovation, whether coffee spaces, or that type of
So for me, it was absolutely eye-opening that I could open up my app on my phone. It's called the AWS console, and I can press a button called Relational Database, start it up. It was huge. I did it in 5 minutes, and I was like, wow, this is speed. Because I tell you that, because I used to run a telecoms network as a country manager. And I promise you, there was a lot of cables involved and projects took forever, right? So the startup does not have the time to do that. The startup has to focus on, again, the customer problem. And that means take away this challenges around, backing up and storage and the heavy lifting, as I call it, the stuff that just keeps you people busy and creates a big organization. You should be as small and lean as possible. And that's essentially why you want to use a platform like AWS with more than 175 services. Guess what? You've got more than 14 databases that you can use. Why is that important? Because it matters if you use the right database, from day one. In any case, so that is the first message. And if you want to talk about the context of security and GDPR, that's a lovely discussion. I love that discussion. There's a beautiful shared responsibility model that is attachable by a company building on AWS when you're engaging with an enterprise, and it goes into all the compliances and what is the responsibilities from you as a the startup, and what is the responsibility from AWS. That's access, security, physical access, and so on. And secondly, when you talk about data, all data in AWS is encrypted, whether it's in transit or whether it's at rest. The key owner is the startup, is the owner of the business, right? So that key is your key, and only you can get into your data like that. So that's pretty cool. But there's so many new cool stuff coming up. Nowadays, there's AWS Outposts. That means that your data center, for example, in any country, could technically order an AWS service for the local data center. It looks and feels exactly the same, and it works straight out of the single console. That's important because then you can basically, keep some data here that people don't want to move around, and you can basically use the coolest stuff like GPUs that you might not find anywhere else, but in the cloud, because the stuff is expensive. And you actually don't want to own a GPU. I mean, you basically just want to use it to train a model, right? So you want to just pay for it while you use it. In fact, we have a collaboration with NVIDIA and Inception, so startups can actually join this global program as well, and they'll get surrounded by very good technical tools to help them speed up development of machine learning resources. That kind of support is just not available anywhere else. That's really cool. I love it. Anyway,
that's futurism for you, right? You have to be futuristic to understand what all of this means, right?
Yeah, that's right. But I do work with, for example, corporate accelerators like Founders Factory, as you know yourself, in Africa, helping a lot of the startups in that program. Remember now, there's some real cool value when you've got an enterprise supporting an accelerator. Is that overnight, the startup can literally build for the customer that's going to buy from them, and hopefully after that, they can then scale it out. So there's some real cool stuff in that.
Yeah,
maybe have a chat with Bengani.
I think we need to make sure that we just tell everybody, like, look, the innovative DNA of a startup really goes together with cloud. I mean, we have to,
Yeah, it's proving that hypothesis. Remember I said that, it's okay to fail, but as long as you can very quickly create something new. And that you can do with an AWS service stack, because you can spin the service up, you can try this, and you can then switch it off, or even it can do auto scaling up and down depending on the traffic. And this is stuff that's really important to be able to do.
Yeah. We've got 15. Yeah, we've got 15 more minutes before we come to a wrap. So guys, let me just come back to the team and find out if they've got. So Batsidi, you're doing agri-tech. I'm sure you've got another. I was just reading about, like, she's doing chatbots. So, and the last time I was in Estonia and Bahrain, I just had these machines meet me through the airport. When I go to Rwanda and there was the whole COVID test, there was just this chatbot that was just able to look at my eyes and tell me, hey, look, you've got COVID, so please go this side. So I don't know, like, what's her thoughts? I mean, in terms of, like, the opportunity she's building as a woman. I mean, it's interesting that
that's super cool.
Building the first chatbot around agri-tech in Botswana. So Batsidi, what do you think? Like, does this look like a tool for you?
Hi again. Yes, definitely. This is a tool that I'm really interested in. The cloud is it's the future. It makes everything much, much simpler. The issues that we've probably been having are the cost, but I think with this resource, we can really mitigate that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let me put it like that, because if when you're part of the Nguana program, you're going to get access to the Activate program, which is essentially credits, right? And that is, I can't remember how much it was, but let's say it's up to $10,000 over 2 years, plus access to tech support. And then the other cool thing is there's services that will make it easier for you to build the chatbot service that you're trying to do. I'm not too sure what you're trying to solve with a chatbot, but definitely have a look with AWS Chatbot. You can configure it in the way that you do it. It's a service. AWS Lex, there's text to speech. There's so many cool services you can use, and you can put that all together to really start giving a value proposition. And the coolest part is you don't have to really think about servers and the underlying databases and all the stuff like that. You can really focus on something called step functions, Lambda. So with Lambda, you can think like a business person. You can think like the business process, and you can say, I just want to do the process in that way. That's how the platform should react at any one time, or the service that you're offering. So there's a lot of cool stuff that one can do. It's too many services, 175 plus.
Yeah, and Henry said it. I mean, we've just gotten approved as an AWS Startups partner. Well, and that didn't take so long. So that's a great news. So all the cohort members are gonna get their 10,000 credits, which is gonna be for 2 years. So you're just gonna have to that's a pack that's coming your way as an outcome of this partnership. Yeah, so big up to Henry for making it happen. And so everybody's gonna just be really excited about using the tools. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that when you are signing up, make sure that you first verify that the credits are on your AWS account. So because it takes, let's say 2 days to open up the AWS free account, right? Don't start building services. I know you get excited. I also do. First, then deploy the Activate credits that you get. Wait until you see it in the AWS Activate console. It's there. And now you start building with the services, right? That you have to play with, but also then definitely have a look at the CloudFormation templates and connect with the experts, and ask, basically, always ask. That's the key. All right, so look forward to help. Cool stuff.
Yeah, awesome. So let's see. Do we have any pending last points from any of the colleagues? A link has just been shared for you guys to just go through. I'm
just going to share some of the tech that we discussed earlier, but I'm going to share the slides afterwards. It's going to make it much easier. And then I do recommend we have another follow-on session, because as you go through all the stuff we talked about, it's probably better that we just start focusing on where we can help better. Cool.
Yeah, awesome. So I think we're gonna make it happen from here. Yeah. So so colleagues, I think let me just ask one more time if we've got any interaction. We're just preparing now to wrap up. I think the hashtag is GEW 2021 on Twitter. Feel free to tweet about our partnership with AWS. On LinkedIn, this is where the easiest part, where you can find Henry, and I saw his about this. So
I just want to commend you. I mean, that's the first step. I think all the entrepreneurs that are successful, they literally just go and reach the person they want to meet and go from there. That's a very important trait. Copy that.
Yeah, copy that. Yeah, that's where I was invited for a radio interview this morning, and I was like, hey, look, what am I gonna do on radio, right? And it's interesting. People don't know a platform is the future. So let's try to build on that. And I was telling Lorraine the other day that startups are the new stock market, right? So if you look at the guys that were first in on Uber, Facebook, they're billionaires. So even anybody now who's gonna get it right in Botswana and invest in startups, right? But in 10 years from now, this will be all over, right? And we need to tap into this before it blows out. So I urge more people to build startups and to make use of such partnerships, right?
Yeah, definitely. Use all the resources you can find, and if you can't find them, then make sure you find a mentor that could help you find that. Mentors really want to share. They're everywhere. Cool. So I look
Yeah,
forward
so-
to the next session as well. It's going to be so really cool. Thanks for today. Appreciate it. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, we appreciate your making time. We know you are quite a busy person in the continent. So Botswana has been added on your tick box. So now it's up to it's up to the startups to make use of these resources and build. Yeah. So colleagues, yeah.
So I just want to mention on Monday, it's the Venture Capital Association Summit event. I understand there's going to be a hybrid broadcast. There will be some really interesting panels there as well, from even startups talking about how they got funding, etc. That is free, right? Like, you know, I would go and do that. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's the pitch day. There's also going to be streamed out 2 days, quite exciting. So there's a lot of events. Keep a track on these events, because you know you want to actually try and just learn as much as possible, as fast as possible.
Cool. So please send me those links for that, so that I can share it with the community. I'm sure they'll sign up. Yeah. Let me also thank Sam, because I think Sam, I might ask him to just spotlight if we can get like some of the guys doing podcasts to just have a direct one-on-one sessions with these guys, so people know what they're doing. I think we had something we wanted to do with Kami, you know him, right? Keanu Kami's, right?
Yeah, he's awesome. He actually WhatsApped me. He's got a new thing going. He's a great individual.
Let him know he's thrown me to the board. Tell him he needs to come through as agreed, right? I know that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, Kino is an awesome person if you want to start getting a community going, for sure, you know. And then this one thing, there is a you know, we don't all have time to go and sit and listen to a radio, because we don't all have cars anymore, right? So you download an app called Clubhouse on your phone, and Clubhouse has an AWS startup. It's like literally radio sessions that play. There's a 24-hour session coming up. It's going to be a new world record. And essentially, we interview all the founders globally in various segments. You know, we ask them how they build and why they're building it, any tips for us, you know, and that kind of stuff. So definitely go and look for the Clubhouse AWS startup program. There's about 7,500 community members, and we just launched it now. So it's definitely interesting.
Oh, awesome. That's a new insight.
And it's free as well. I just love free stuff. I don't like anything else, you know. Startups don't. Right. It's not supposed to have money.
Yeah, good idea. I think we're gonna pick on that cap. So colleagues, let me wrap this up. Let me thank you, our founders, our innovators, who have proven without a doubt the interest to build the next economy solutions. Let me also thank our partners from AWS Startups, Henry Zitzman, for making time. We know time is very expensive, but he made it, right? And we thank our partners, being Stanbic Bank, for making this happen. And obviously, the rest of the partners that have participated in the Global Entrepreneurship Week, Botswana. If you would like to share this recording with your friends, your organization, for them to learn, please just jump on the Global Entrepreneurship Week Botswana Facebook page. The content is free, but unfortunately the PowerPoint will only be shared with the cohort or those that have been invited, so that we can align locally. So let me thank all of you for making time, and let's hope that we connect next time when we are with Henry for the second part of this. So keep in touch. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tekere. Thank you, Henry.
Thanks a lot, Lorraine.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Batsiri. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, have a good evening. Thank you. And let's see you tomorrow, first thing in the morning. All right, awesome. Thank you, Udira classmate. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.